Endorphins are neuropeptides from the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. They cross the blood-brain barrier and head into the opioid receptors to block pain and create feelings of euphoria. And if anything I said resonates inside your head, then tune on in to the Endorphin Report.
Welcome to the Endorphin Report. I'm Daniel.
I'm Cynthia.
So Cynthia, this is becoming like when Prince had to call his band in the middle of the night, get them together, record something in the studio. When you feel inspired, it has to happen.
It has to happen, like right away. I have to expel all my thoughts.
Yes.
This is what I usually did. I would just send you 25 WhatsApp about a movie I just saw. But now I'm like, oh, I guess I'll tell you over podcast. So it has to happen now.
I'm like, save it for the podcast. We got to make the dough. So what's the movie? You told me it is People We Meet on Vacation on Netflix from 2026.
Yes, it just came out on Netflix. It's a movie based on a book that I have not read that was written by Emily Henry. So
you're not getting into the deep lore of the people we meet on vacation verse.
Yeah. So this is what attracted me to the movie. So I'm watching Netflix and they play the trailer. And the trailer is like attractive vacation scenes, like pretty people. And then they have the song by Robin called Hang With Me that was just so catchy, which I've always liked that song.
That's a great
and
song.
Then just showing it with fun rom-com things. And then that just got into my head and I was like, I'm so in. Like that Robin song, I was so in when I like saw that trailer. So I was like, you know, that was worth it for them to pay Robin.
And that's a good hook. It's like, I would like to be on vacation.
Good hook.
I get to watch people
Yes.
being on vacation.
Pretty people, vacation spots, and Robin. And I basically, since I've been seeing the movie, I've been like walking around the house singing it to myself with, you know, my poor lyrical things where I'm just like.
How does the chorus sound to you lyrically?
And you hang with me, and I'm gonna do right by you, and I'm gonna keep it tight, I'll come by you. You know, it starts to get a little jumbled there, but
Right.
But it's very
Yeah,
catchy.
tailed
I've
off
been
a
very
little.
happy. It's been giving me endorphins to just be singing it and walking around my house. That's just made me happy.
That's the magic of Robin.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me about this movie.
Yes, the actual movie, not just about Robin and my singing.
Right.
We have Emily Bader, who plays Poppy, and she was the lead of a show called Lady Jane, which is a medieval show, which is really funny and smart, and I recommend people to watch it. Has great endorphins. She plays a very smart character, and unfortunately, her character in this movie is not so smart.
Okay.
Then we have Tom Blyth, plays Alex. People, if they've seen the Hunger Games prequel, he's the evil snow guy. So basically in this thing, when he's not evil, he's super hot and sweet.
Okay.
So context. Basically, the movie is out of order and intermittently shows them being awkward together after things went bad between them. So I'm just going to explain it all to you in chronological order because it'd be too confusing
Thank
otherwise. So we have Poppy, who is at this point, they're both 18-year-olds. They both live in a small town in Ohio, didn't know each other, but they're going to carpool to Boston because they're both going to go to the same college in Boston. So that's how they're meeting for the first time.
That's a little reference there, carpooling across the country together.
Harry Met Sally?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Definitely vibes of this. Definitely vibes. No orgasm scene, though.
Uh-huh.
She basically meets him, and he's kind of a buttoned-up, structured guy who is like, she's an hour late. She's really loud, over-talkative, kind of insensitive about people around her. She's kind of how I fear I'd be seen when I get kind of hyper and talkative. She's just too much. She gets them stuck in traffic. She spills stuff all over his car. She locks them out of the car, so they need to call AAA, and they need to stay in a hotel overnight. Like, she's the worst carpool partner. They have nothing in common, but when they stay in the hotel, you know, he, like, feels like they had some nice experiences in the hotel that he's like, oh, this got me out of my comfort zone. Like, it's kind of nice to be around her in that way.
Was there only one bed?
There's one bed, but he actually sleeps on the floor and he stays on the floor. Yeah, they actually do because he has a girlfriend. So that's why they don't get into Bangtown. He's got a girlfriend. He's still kind of annoyed with her, But she tells him when they're in the hotel room, she tells him basically that she really wants to travel. She's kind of traumatized from living in that small town because she moved there when she was 11 and there was like some bad gossip made up about her. And she just feels like you're kind of stuck with the stain of gossip on you in small areas. And she wants to travel and feel free. In the first half of this movie, she's fairly insufferable to me, but she tones down a bit during the movie.
I think a lot of 18-year-olds are insufferable.
That is very true. I don't want to hang out with 18-year-old Cynthia. So I do agree. I should give her that. You know, it's just, is 18-year-old Daniel, would you want to hang out with 18-year-old Daniel?
I would not. It would be mostly Simpsons quotations, I guess. I mean, I would like to hang out with them, but it would be a bumpy road.
So they become friends from this trip. They then decide to take a trip like the next summer and they go to Canada. And she's like a kind of a fly on the seat of your pants person. So they like go to like an art festival. They go camping.
Where do they go in Canada?
They don't say. They're just in
just
Canada.
Canada in general?
Just Canada. Woods of Canada. You know how it is. Just woods, Canada.
It's mostly woods.
Just woods. They come into a art festival where people have carved log sculptures. And she's the type of person who you have flown there. And she says that because she's drawn to this huge sculpture of a Yeti, that she needs to buy it and they need to drag it around with them on the trip. And then she's going to try to get it on the plane. Like, she's that type of person where you're like, oh, no. When they're doing that and he is helping her drag it all around, you're like, why is he dealing with her? Why does he want to be around her? But they end up doing things more sporadically, like going to a hippie camp where he ends up skinny dipping and he loses his clothes and he ends up wearing her romper. So, like, he gets more wild on vacation, which they call Vacation Alex.
He's in a relationship and they just go to another country together?
He's in an on and off relationship. This is why it's okay that they kind of make it that it's not too weird with them being friends and kind of having an ambiguous thing where it's always the same girl on and off. They're just not a great fit.
Okay.
Also, because he's such a structured, like, kind of scheduled guy, he's quite jacked, which is what the excuse they make it is. I think he's the person you can imagine running every single morning and doing tons of weight. He's buff. When he goes skinny dipping, you're like, oh, hello. So, yeah. So then she tells him on the trip, she goes, I think I want to drop out of college and go do an internship with a magazine as a writer and start a writing career. I don't know, don't writers normally want like a college thing on their resume? But anyways. But she's like, are we still going to be friends if I'm not in college with you? And he's like, look, we're going to do a vacation every summer for 1 week. Where she's like, oh, great. She ends up becoming a vacation writer for a magazine, which is kind of the rom-com job where she is sent to do very luxury vacations with an insane budget and is just flown all over and writes about it. He ends up going to grad school and wants to be a professor type thing, yada, yada. You know, they're just like, he's grad school person.
Because, yeah, if you go to grad school, you're basically set.
You're basically set. You're going to be a professor. So easy.
Yep, definitely.
So, yeah. Yeah. They basically show different vacations they are on. One, they go to New Orleans. They pretend to be on a honeymoon and get free stuff everywhere they go by saying they're honeymooners. Like, we're talking free wigs, free food, free drinks. Like, dude, I tried to milk being on a honeymoon when I was married. And, like, I got one free macaroon from a hotel. I don't even know if it was actually because of that or they just were going to put it in anyways. The hospitality business makes money off of people traveling. They'd go broke if they gave away free stuff all the time.
Yeah, a lot of those people are honeymooners.
Yeah. Like half of New Zealand is full of honeymooners.
It's not like, oh, you're getting married. Let us lower prices for you.
Literally, they get free meals for being fake honeymooners on New Orleans. Free meals.
That's probably what ruined it for other honeymooners. They came along, and then you and Brian were burned by that, the scammers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they are at a bar and pretend that they are in the CIA and make up dumb fake names like Delia Sassafras. I'm making that up, but similar. And then they do a hot, sexy dance because it turns out Alex got some dance moves. So got some sexual tension there. And then she falls, sprains her ankle, and he carries her. So this is kind of sexual tension territory, which would totally, on this trip, have led them to Bangtown. But she talks about how she has a boyfriend she doesn't really like, and then that boyfriend shows up on the trip, so nothing happens between them.
Okay.
So next vacation they do, they were going to go to Norway. She has to cancel because she's got, like, the flu. He goes, shows up, and on his 1 week off from being super stressed with school and all, he cares for her, and he's willing to get her virus because he's like, oh, I have a whole week. It's fine. Give me your flu, feverish virus. I just want to be with you. And you're like,
gross.
No. So they have more tension where she's, like, hugging him. I've gone on trips with male friends. This is not how we act. I'm not touching them all the time. I'm not putting my hand on their face. I'm not doing sexy dances. This is not how I acted with them.
There's probably a lot of looks.
A lot of looks, and they're evidently texting all between all of this. So she's basically taking up, like, a lot of emotional bandwidth from him.
Uh-huh.
Then things don't go so well after a while because they go to Tuscany. She basically has a huge Tuscan villa because of that magazine paid for it.
Uh-huh.
And she's there with her boyfriend, who's, like, a British travel snob, so it's okay if she cheats on him, per movie logic. She and Alex constantly are texting each other and essentially are having kind of an emotional affair in my mind. But he shows up with his girlfriend, and you can tell it's really awkward because Alex and Poppy have, like, a vibe, and it's kind of weird for everybody. At one point, she over-emotionally uses him where she thinks she's pregnant. They're in the Tuscan villa. She contacts him, doesn't tell her boyfriend, goes with him, and in the streets of Tuscany, she takes a pregnancy test. It's negative, and then he reassures her, he hugs her, he's like, I'll always be there for you, and then she kisses him while they both have significant others back at the villa. And then she kind of freaks out, says, oh my God, I didn't mean it, you're my best friend, I don't want to mess this up. And then he's like, oh, she doesn't feel that way about me, and he looks really sad. How does he react to this? He goes back to his girlfriend, and the next morning he proposes to the girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
And he's basically like, I'm willing to compromise and live in a small town and compromise on my dreams of, like, teaching in New York to be in a loving, stable relationship. And she's like, you're settling. And he's like, you don't know what you want. And then he cancels all future vacations, and he ghosts her for 2 years.
Wow.
Boom. So his brother is getting married in Barcelona, destination wedding, which is probably, like, literally the site they're going to have it is, like, cost $1 million. He basically wants her at the wedding, so she is going to go. She basically just tells the magazine, she's like, hey, I was going to go to Greece, but send me to Barcelona instead, because she can just do that. Travel writers can do whatever they want.
Uh-huh.
Then she goes to Barcelona, sees him. They haven't seen each other in 2 years. At the airport.
By chance.
By chance. Then he drives her to her place. Then, being like a guy in his 40s, he's 30, but he's being like a guy in his 40s, and he just leans one way looking at her AC, and he, like, pulls a back spasm. And he has to lie down, and he can't move. So that's an innovative way to get to have him stay at her place overnight. That was a smart rom-com move there.
Yeah.
And then, don't worry, he's fine the next day. He goes for a run, no problem.
That's how that works, I think.
Yeah, no, totally. Back spasms, you're just like, wake up, totally gone, go for a run, no problems. He's like, no, I feel great. He's single at this point. He has broken up with his fiance. So he's single. She is single. Then they start to chat, and he invites her to the rehearsal dinner. She shows up in a satin gown that looks like she's at the Oscars. She looks smoking hot. You'll see it in the trailer. I mean, she's hot. They do a lot of stares. He looks at her. They have a good time. He kind of looks longingly at her a lot. He walks her home. He asks why she came to the wedding. She's like, I missed you. I missed my best friend. I want things to go back the way they were. And he's like, no, they can't go back to the way they were. And he walks away. And now you're going to guess what happens.
Okay. Well, it probably involves traveling to 3 different countries based on the rest of the movie.
Don't forget, there's also a wedding the next day.
Like he runs to the front of his brother's wedding and declares his love for this girl? That doesn't seem appropriate.
No.
So there's a best man speech, and Alex decides to make it all about himself and declares his love for Poppy in the best man speech.
That's pretty typical in rom-coms.
It does happen. And then
it does, yeah.
They get together that night, and then they're just sitting beaming at the wedding the next day. And then we see them in a montage all over the world traveling with the last few bits of budget that Netflix put into this. This is some budget on this.
Okay. This is quite the budget. There is no green screen on this. This is actual location.
Nice. It's not Stratford, Ontario for Barcelona.
They are throwing in the money for beautiful beach. I love it. I love it. I'm all in on that.
Because Eurotrip,
So-
they did not go to any of those locations.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally had it where, like, the girl is supposed to be on a tropical island, and you continually see her on the beach, and there's continually, like, wind, like, trees blowing, and you see nothing moving on her. Like, it's just so green screen. It was just so bad.
They green screened the beach.
It's just sad. So you're like, no.
All right, so what's the real ending?
The real ending, he walks into her place, which this bothers me because I'm like, did you not lock any doors? Like, he literally enters her entire building and just walks into her apartment, and there's no problem. And he's like, I don't want to be the way we were before. And she's like, did you break up with your fiance because of me? And he's like, yes. And she's like, oh my God. And her AC is broken. So it's literally 100 degrees in her apartment.
Uh-huh.
There's a construction site right outside her rented apartment. She rushes into the construction site in the rain, pouring rain. This is also a very good reason to have somebody out in the rain, is if that place is 100 degrees and she's freaking out. So this is some smart rom-com thinking.
Okay, you put it in the top 10 of rain motivations.
Yes, like they're not like, oh, let's get under somewhere. They're like, it's 100 degrees in here. I'm miserable and I'm upset. I'm going to go out in the rain. That makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's in the rain in her Oscar dress, and he goes out in his suit getting soaked, and she's like, I'm sorry I asked too much of you. And he's like, I want to be with you. And she's like, I love you. And then he's like, since when have you loved me? And she's like, probably always, which is kind of a cop-out answer, because that's just like, I don't know, probably forever, whatever. But then they do a culmination of 9 years of sexual tension, kiss in the rain. Yeah.
Okay.
And
that's his stuff.
then, because it's a movie and they don't have time in the budget for foreplay, they basically strip naked immediately in the construction site in the rain. And then they come into the sofa, and then they have wet rain sofa sex.
Wait, the
which-
sofa's in the construction site?
They come in to the sofa in her apartment, and then they have sex on it.
That would be so easy to just do that in a slightly different order. Come inside, then strip down.
Then strip. I don't know why. Well, I know why, because they don't have the time. But in these movies, they kiss for like literally 6 seconds. It's a hot kiss. And then they just start stripping clothes. I mean, there's nothing of like that, just immediate stripping in these movies.
Now, what about the art of making out, of heavy petting? There's a lot of over-the-clothes stuff that comes first.
There's no time in this movie.
Aren't they worried about the Spanish authorities capturing them in that construction site?
No, don't worry. It's enclosed. Totally fine to strip. Just wouldn't be comfortable to do it on the ground. I'm glad they didn't do it on the ground of the construction. That looked very uncomfortable.
But aren't there those holes where people can look in and see what's going on in the construction
it's
site?
all plastic.
Okay,
It's all
that's
plastic
good.
covered. I'm like, well done, rom-com. You created a reason for her to go out in the rain. You created a reason for them to have wet, hot sex. I was like, you thought outside the box.
You like those scenes if they're not motivated properly. You're like, huh.
I just hate when they're like standing out in the rain for just no absolute reason, and then they're just like start making out
There's like a canopy right beside them, but they're out in the rain.
right next to them, but they're just like so passionate. They're just standing in the rain, and you're just like,
Okay, so then they have the big sex.
the big sex. The next day, they're in bed. This guy, he's like, I want to be with you. They have more sex. He is not the one to fold clothes before sex. He's got moves. He is a smooth mover. So yeah, I'm all in on that. I was like, oh, this is enjoyable. Then I notice there is 27 minutes left in the movie, and I'm like,
What?
oh no. There's gonna be so much more drama. I don't think it's just gonna be cuddles and hot sex the next 27 minutes.
What is
So,
left
yeah.
to happen? This is a Jane Austen
I
rule. It's got to
know.
end in a marriage. And then the story's over.
I know. So they go to the brother's wedding. Gorgeous wedding. Great set. Beautiful. They're slow dancing, and he's like, well, let's talk about the future. How are we going to make this work? And she's like, nah, we don't need to talk about this. Let's just push that off. And he's like, no, like, you always push things off. Like, you're always going to run away, aren't you? And he's like, we're never going to work. You're just going to push me away like you push other people away. And then he walks away from her on the dance floor, which is a cool shot of her just standing on the dance floor alone, but I think I would have gone after him.
Yeah.
So she sat alone at the airport. She's like, oh, what I'm doing now with my life is not working. I need to change things. So she leaves her travel job. She flies to his Ohio town to see him with no notice and knocks on his door. She sees him going on a run, and so she runs after him. Another good way to have somebody go in a running scene and running after somebody. I mean, yeah, sure, she could have waited for him to come back in half an hour, but why do that when you can run after him crazily in the street?
It's like he'll never return. He's running away.
He'll never return.
I need to catch him now.
Well, then in the middle of the street, she's able to stop him, and they move to like the crosswalk island in the middle of the street, which metaphor, they're meeting in the middle of the road.
Wow.
Daniel. Oh my God.
Wow.
And so she's like, well, I just thought, if I stayed anywhere, people couldn't handle me. But you know what? You're home, and I want to be anywhere you were, and I will give up anything in my life to be with you. And then he gives his like restrained man who's been like desiring her forever massive kiss to her, which is pretty hot. Then they do a flash forward. They live in New York together, thank goodness, because she would not want to live in that Ohio town. He's a professor at a college, because that's so easy, Daniel. He just wrote to a college. He's a professor now, no problem.
Probably applied for 2 or 3 places and then chose the one in New York.
He teaches at Sarah Lawrence, good college, sure, no problem. She's a writer. They have dogs. They go on a vacation together. And I would be like, well, she's not going to have luxury vacations anymore because of this magazine's not supporting her. He must have money because they're literally on an empty island beach together. Only people on the island. They're living good. They kiss, and then the movie ends. Okay. So now you're going to watch the trailer. And you get to see the Robin song being played. Oh, boy.
All right. I'm excited. By the way, they did not meet on vacation.
With me. They didn't. They met going to college.
So who are the people we meet on vacation?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. They meet on a vacation. They meet together to hang out on vacation.
Do any
would
of
probably
them
be a more accurate statement.
Yeah, it would be longer but more accurate. The people we meet who we already know on vacation. People we rendezvous with at the vacation spot.
And do it right. And then we text the rest of the year.
That's right.
Do right by
that would be a very long title, but much more accurate.
It would be more accurate.
Okay, I'm done.
Boom! You got to experience the Robin Hang With Me trailer magic.
Yeah. So I think that what we're seeing in this is maybe something we're seeing in other things, which is that people want an extended courtship now. And this is the only way you can sort of justify it. Because they're doing all kinds of romantic things together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, is being in a rom-com, it's hard to keep people apart. So they're kept apart by her personality, inability to stay still, his wanting stability, and her also being a lot in the beginning. So she is not, he shouldn't even be hanging out with her in this beginning. She's too much. But then she's still kind of a mess through parts of it. But then she tones it down a bit, and also she's then willing to settle down with him. So that's like and they have other relationships too, which is, we know, that's kind of shady to be in a relationship. Be like, I don't really care about him, but I'm going to go on this trip for you where I'm going to be touching your face a lot. So, yeah, but we'll get into it.
Okay. So the next day is our
the next day
segments.
So the next day, and we're talking the next day after they first hook up in Ohio, when she's run to him. Because we already know the future part. But basically, they're going to have a lot of sex. We're going to have a lot of build-up from 9 years of sexual tension. So that's fine. And they already know each other, and they love each other. So basically, just sex town is what they're going to be in.
Okay, so this is another instance where it's not so improbable. They do know quite a lot about each other. They've spent a fair bit of time together.
They have a very good baseline. So at least when they say, I love you, like, they've known each other for many, many years, and that's okay. So I'm happy with that. I hate when they are like, I love you, and it's been 4 days, and you didn't even like the person for 3 of those days. So I like this, that there's actually a genuine base. So I'm like, good points on that. Good points on that.
On the other hand, they've never lived together. Like, they've never
this is the will they make it
together.
Let's do...
Will they make it?
Will they make it as a couple?
Yeah. Next segment.
This is a problem. she doesn't know how to live, like, in day-to-day living. And she literally, like, in her place, she doesn't know how to do daily living. She has dead plants and a rotten lime in her fridge for most of the movie. Like, this is a guy who wants his dishwasher stacked in a certain way. Like, this is going to be a rough adjustment for them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that smart, even speaking as someone who married someone that I'd never lived with for more than a week. There was a lot of adjustment.
There's a lot. And also, they've only done vacation, which is fun, free things. And she brings him out of his shell and is wacky. But you can't do that day to day when you're trying to pay the gas bill. You can't be like, whatever, just throw it out the window and be like, let's go dance. It's like, no, we actually really do need to pay that and deal with, like, the leak in the bathroom, you know? They've had this honeymoon period, and now it's going to crash a bit.
Yeah, they've literally been on a honeymoon this whole time, basically.
Yes. And she says that she's going to be happy anywhere with him because he's home. But you really do need to be in a place where, like, it works well for your personality. She's a New York City energy, so it's good they do move to New York City together. And she also will definitely need to go to therapy for all her intimacy issues. So I think they have a shot if they do some couples therapy and she does some therapy.
That could be the Band-Aid answer for everything. They could be together. Yeah. They just need to have therapy and couples therapy.
Yeah, she has some intimacy issues, and that is something she does really need to work on. But at least she's motivated now to work on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next segment.
All right, so Story of Us.
This is how compatible would I or you, Cynthia, be, regardless of sexual orientation, with the leads of this movie?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, this guy, he's got moves. He's sweet. He's a bit scheduled, but he loosens up around her and gets a bit silly. So, I mean, I could potentially see where this goes. Not my ideal, because I need somebody usually chiller than me, but I could definitely see where this could go. I could definitely explore this if I was in a situation. I don't want to live in New York, but if he's going to move in Boston, so if he's living in Boston, teaching at one of the thousands of colleges here, you know, that's cool. I'd date him, see how it goes. There's potential. Definitely more potential than, like, 80% of the films we've seen, so.
Okay. Would you be willing to bring him out of his shell, be the one to bring the spontaneity and the fun?
Maybe in private he's, like, super silly and let's go. But I don't want to have to, like, be pulling at it. That's too much. So that's the downside, is we're going to go on the assumption that in person, in private, he's a lot sillier.
Okay.
I'm saying there's potential, and we would see where it goes, and then if it doesn't work, that's okay.
Okay, what about her?
I just touch those abs, and I walk away.
That's the lowest level of just a quick ab touch and then on my way.
Yeah.
And all the way up to married and living together.
How do you feel right now? You guys would have issues living together. That would be a problem, cleaning-wise.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you seem to think that disqualifies me from a lot of folks. I'm cleaner now.
I think you guys would have some fun together. I think you guys could share some hobbies and all. I think he's a nice guy.
What's he a professor of?
Don't know. Vague.
Not even like if it's the sciences or the humanities or engineering?
Nope. Just professor. Grad school.
Just
professor.
The important point is that it's a high status job.
Me, teacher. So, yeah.
Is he doing research? Is he teaching only? What are his sources of funding? Yeah.
Yeah. He's just hired because he's just so great. They're just like, yeah, sure. They just hired him. No big deal. You would obviously have to date him, get to find out his actual topic of that, and then you can also touch his abs.
Yeah. It has to be either the artsy side or the sciences, not engineering. I'm going to just say that.
Got it. So, like, he sits down with you, you're on the coffee date, and he's like, yeah, I teach engineering, and you're like, I'm out. You just walk out.
Just quick ab touch, then I'm out. What about her?
She, as we've established, she's a bit much.
Uh-huh.
She would just make me self-conscious of being like, no, you just scare me that I'm gonna, like, come off to people like you are, in terms of her just being like, blah, 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 sometimes. So I don't want her locking me out of my car. I'm not gonna find stuff cute when she's, like, messing things up all the time. I'm just like, no. It's not like she's really that bad. I'm just like, ugh. But you know what? I want her clothes and jewelry. So I definitely want to just like hang out on a date, have her go through her whole wardrobe, hand it off to me. And I'm like, great, thanks so much. And she's also going to give me some tips about, I guess, luxury vacationing, which I'll be like, yeah, thanks. Can't go, but thank you.
Yeah, first off, you should get a job working for a magazine, I guess. And they will send you everywhere.
Literally will send her on like a $4,000 value trip for her article.
Yeah, that's what it's all about right now. Articles. That's what people love these days.
Writing.
Articles. No video component.
Nope.
No posting. Just articles.
Nope. So yeah, how do you feel? You've seen her in the trailer. You've heard my assessment of her. She is more toned down in her probably 30. She's probably 30. How do you feel? Yeah, and she's going to make you more spontaneous. She's not too clean. You don't have to worry about that. So how do you feel about this situation?
What if I don't want to be more spontaneous? Maybe I'm just sticking in the mud.
Well, then I guess you need to get with Alex.
Yeah. When you said he's a buttoned up, rigid schedule type of guy, she's also a buttoned up, rigid schedule kind of person. No. They're contrasts. That's the key. Contrasts.
Yep.
Yeah, she seems like she could be a bit annoying in that sense. I worry that she won't have depth because of how broad she is and as far as all the different places she's going. And just writing an article about them and then moving on. You know?
She's charismatic. His family all loves her, so she is good at parties and all. But yeah, I think she has intimacy issues, so that would be a problem. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna work between you guys long term. But I think you'd like to talk to her on a date and like hear about where she's gone and interesting places.
Yeah, if she's a writer.
She's pretty. She runs out on construction sounds in the rain, and then you're like, ooh, I want to ruin my suit. Would you ruin your suit for her?
Hell no.
I know, I've gone to a suit place with you. Like, for you to ruin that because she runs out dramatically in the rain, you'd be like, you'd totally strip before. You'd be like, that's the order you do. You'd strip off the clothes.
I'd be like,
I'm not getting this all wet.
1 second. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take off my jacket, put it in the lobby. Then I'll come out and kiss.
Yes.
She does seem fun and flirty and a bit crazy. She probably has a lot of vacation sex. So maybe I could be one of those hookups.
Okay. All right. So next segment. Ooh versus ew.
That's right. This segment is about what they do to attract one another. Which of the dating tactics they do are alluring and attractive, and which are kind of gross and off-putting.
Yes. So, off-putting first. Don't do a flirty, emotional friendship affair. It's not cool. Don't, like, take all this emotional bandwidth of this guy when he's in a relationship on and off. And, like, and also when you're in a relationship that you're like, well, I don't even like that person that much. And then be flirty and touchy and given all these signs and then kiss him when both your spouses or your mates are at the house. It's just no. Don't be that messy person. That is ew. Don't like that. Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
So that's like half the film. The first half of the film, I don't really love. And then the second half is what a little more endorphin-y.
The first half of the film could be called Almost Cheating.
Yes. No, I'm pretty much sure like 3/4 of the movie is like almost cheating. And then first part is just like total disaster. Second part, endorphin times. Endorphin little geysers popping up. Endorphin geysers. Yes. So I'm rolling this into Endorphin Report with it. Ooh. But like they were just geysers of endorphins popping up in the second half of the film. Just randomly like, pff, walking into the rain, hot kiss. That's a good move. Having the yearning guy who's like yearning for her, who's all restrained and then grabs her and kisses her. Good move. So endorphins.
We're fully in the Endorphin Report here, I think.
We're fully in the Endorphin Report.
And, like, how do you reconcile this, that you're annoyed by that first half of the movie?
Yeah.
There's so much tension between them. They're so obviously just wanting to bone. They're kept apart for very flimsy reasons. But then that's kind of necessary for those geysers to happen, isn't it?
I guess. For the geysers to happen, the fact that it's been like 9 years of them like longing, that's pretty good build up.
Mm-hmm.
So them making out in Barcelona, him looking at her a lot, them cuddling, and this is when they're single and they're hooking up, I'm all for that. That's fine. That is like no problem, not icky endorphins. Like, that's cool. When they do things like dancing in New Orleans, when I think he might be in a relationship, he might not be, but it's kind of messy that she's being very flirty. Oh yeah, she's in a relationship. That's what it is. So it's like, oh, that's nice and that was fun, but you guys are being messy. So it's a little bit of tinged endorphins where you're like, okay. And then they almost kiss in custody. Also pretty, like some endorphins, but they're a bit tainted endorphins. But then in a bunch of the second half, him looking at her, then when they're kissing on the sidewalk in the middle of the street, I'm very glad they're not actually like standing in the street where cars could hit them, because they do that in some movies sometimes. They like run in the middle of the street and you're like, nah. In The Notebook, they lie down in the street to be exciting and almost get run over by a truck. That would have been end of movie. That is stupid.
Yeah, that's not romantic.
Like, Ryan Gosling almost got splattered on the asphalt.
Okay, so endorphin high points. Kissing in the rain in Barcelona while naked in a construction site.
And then they have built-up tension sex
They should
immediately.
have Jackie Chan just in the background having a fight sequence in the construction site. Just like boom, boom, boom.
I would have been fine with 27 more minutes of just them doing cuddles and more rain stuff. But this movie had to add more drama. I didn't need that. I could have gone for just more vacation, hookup, fun. I would have been
4
fine
more
with
locations with them just having a nice time.
Now we're going to go hook up in Madrid. Now we're going to go hook up in London. Now we're going to go hook up in Norway. I'm fine with that. I could watch all that. It's fine. But I was impressed by the innovative ways to get people out in the rain and running after. I mean, can you think of a reason why people have to make out in the rain when they're in a normally, like, it's pouring out and they are in a house and it's totally dry and then they run out into the rain? Can you give a good excuse for that that's not, like, messed up?
Yeah, like they see a bug or something and need to escape. There's a snake in there and they have to escape.
There's a snake and then they need to start making out of that. No. But yeah. I'm glad.
The fire alarm.
At least if you were going to do this situation, you'd take off your suit. You'd just be like, no, I'm not running out. I'm not ruining my suit for her.
Yeah, it would be part of the running. It would be running, taking off my suit jacket at the same time, removing my expensive shoes. How does it compare to, for example, Heated Rivalry that you saw recently?
Oh, gosh. We can't even go there. It's just a whole nother playing
It's another
field.
scale.
Can't even go there. Whole nother scale, whole nother thing. Can't even go there. But I would say I do enjoy Heated Rivalry. I do love Lady Jane. I love it. I love it. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to leave them on their little pristine shelves of endorphins. They're on their own. They have their own little trophies. That's all I'll say. They have their own little trophies on my shelf of endorphin awards.
Excellent. And this is what you have to watch in between those kind of things.
This is what I'm going to share with you about things. So yeah.
Okay, so final verdict.
Final verdict. So, if I have to make this a metaphor of my endorphin feelings, I would say I would give a special shout out of the Robin song, which gave me endorphins throughout the rest of the day as I was singing it and doing little mini dances around my apartment. But basically, given the endorphin geysers that there were, I felt like I got a really great cup of hot chocolate with whipped cream with marshmallows on top with sprinkles on top.
Multiple marshmallows, not just one.
Where you like get it delivered to you and you're like, oh, this looks good. So I did enjoy that. And pretty outfits, pretty locations, not in green screen. That was enjoyable.
All right. Excellent. Thank you for that. And hope you folks will listen again next time, whenever it happens. Goodbye.
Bye.
Then tune on in for the Endorphin Report. The Endorphin Report.